Frank Sinatra? He owned the masters to his work. Ray Charles? You know Ray Charles owned the masters to his work? You know how unbelievable that was for a black man in the 40s to own the masters to his work? Why was Ray Charles, Frank Sinatra, and now Michelle Schott able to control their rights? Anyone? After what you just heard me say, what's the number one thing if you want to have that kind of leverage?
They didn't sell. They didn't sign up to a contract with
They didn't sign?
large consumer base.
Large consumer base. That's it. And you're right. Yeah. But basically they had the power. They had the power because they have an audience. So every time I go out and I speak to people, and believe me, I speak to publishers, authors, musicians, the first thing I normally say, I didn't say this today for students, is stop chasing labels and publishers and studios and start chasing your audience, right? Because if you have the audience, everything else comes from there. You're going to have the leverage, you're going to have the ability, you can do it your own if you want. And that's what Jill did. Jill said, screw the system. I'm not going to do it anymore. Why? The first time she had a major label deal, and do you know that she never made enough money to recoup the advance? You guys know what that means? Recoup the advance?
Yeah.
You know, you get an advance. An advance is not a gift, it's a loan. And you got to pay the loan back to the label, right? And you pay the loan back through royalties. And if all you're making is pennies and royalties, you got to sell millions of CDs to get out of debt. And there's so many stories of musicians, Tony Braxton, and so the tale goes on, who are in debt to their label. You know, the other crazy thing is, I got the copyright to this book. You open it up, it's copyright to your house, all right? But if you open up a CD case, who do you think the copyright is to?
Version.
It's to the label. It's a completely insane system, right? It's like you get a loan for a house, you pay back the loan, the bank says thank you, and the bank keeps the house. That's the music industry. It's completely corrupt, the existing system. So Jill said, screw this. I'm in debt to my label. Then she tried 2 independent labels. They both went bankrupt. So she said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go to my fans. I'm going to go to my mini Medicis, right? I'm going to go to my fans, and they're going to help, through crowdfunding, create my next album. She wanted to raise $75,000. So what does she do? She put up all these little products and services. So if you give me $25, you'll get an advance copy of the CD. If you give me $100, I'll give you a T-shirt, everything above, and a T-shirt that says executive producer. So it looks like, you know, you're an executive producer of the album, right? She's giving back to her fans for these services. For $200, you get free admission to her shows. Think about that. She hasn't even created a CD yet, and she's already doing advance booking for her next show, right? It's brilliant. Then if you look at the $500 level, at the end of her CD, she does an instrumental track for you where she rhymes with your name. But look at the $700, the gold doubloons level. Is that crazy? For $250 more, you get the exact same thing, but you give her more money. So I interviewed Jill on my radio show. It was 2 weeks ago. And I said, did people do that? And she's like, yeah, they paid more money and got the same thing. They get the joke. They just wanted to be in on the joke, you know? Then Platinum, for $1,000, she'll write a song and you can put it on your answering machine and show off. What better way to show off to your friends in Brentwood than Jill Sobel on her answering machine, right? Yeah.
Amanda Palmer did the same thing.
Yeah, Amanda Palmer does this, absolutely. And then this is great, you know, for $5,000, she comes out and she'll do a house concert for you. Is that cool? Think about that. How could people make money off of that one? How could you pay $5,000 but actually make money from it? Yeah.
If you charge admission.
Charge admission. And that's what she said. She said on my interview that she did about 10 of these, and that most people actually made money by charging admission. Hey, I got Amanda, you know, I've got Jill Sobel in my living room. But the last one she put up as a joke on the interview. She said she never thought anybody would do it. If you give her $10,000, you get to sing on her CD. She put it up as a joke. You know, one person did it. A woman from England. She flew her in from England into LA and she sang on the CD. But I was joking with her and said, well, maybe you should have put up a $25,000 level as a joke. Right? What am I getting at? What is Jill doing? What's Jill doing? She's working the product pricing curve, right? If she didn't offer up all those other services, you would never know that there are people out there willing to give you money. All you got to do is ask. You know, sometimes you actually have to lead people where you want them to go. Give me $10,000, I'll let you sing on the CD. Who knew that there would be somebody out there? Well, she's got some super fans, right? And the closer, it's a funny thing, right? the closer people got to a personal experience with Jill, the more money they were willing to pay. This happens in the music industry all the time, right? You pay $50 to see them in concert, you pay $100 to get the front row, $250 to get backstage passes, maybe a little preferred parking so you're in and out quickly. Maybe you get the road show afterwards, maybe you get them to come and play performance for your kid's birthday party, right? $5,000. But we're never like listing all this on our websites, are we? Oh, all I have is a $35 DVD. See ya, goodbye, and that's it. So the whole new model is more about embracing your fans, using social media to engage the public, have them book your gigs. Mickey booked this gig. I didn't book it. I don't have a publicist. You know, I got booked at the United Nations, Columbia University. Tonight at Sonoma State, my fans are booking me. So that's the new world, embracing these new methods. Any questions on Jill? But this was the end result, right? The most important thing is, in under 2 months, she raised almost $90,000. She got a closer relationship to her fans. She pre-booked her concerts for the upcoming year. But most importantly, she owns and controls her masters. And as Prince said, famously, if you don't own your masters, you're a slave. And she owns the masters for this work. So, you know, lots of other places you can go for this. Boy, is this a long-winded screen, but how much time do we have, Mickey?
10 minutes, and then we've got the room until 2 o'clock, so students might have to leave in 10 minutes, but we have the room until 2.
Is this useful for you guys?
Yeah.
Anything of value here? Yeah? Okay, so that's kind of how I work the product pricing curve for my book, but I really want to get into the dangers inherent in this. But, you know, I sold 5,000 books in just 11 days through one new Twitter connection. You know, how did I do that? Well, every time somebody followed me on Twitter, I would go investigate their profile. Oh, this might be a musician, this might be an author. You know, this could be a potential affiliate. And I'd send them a specific DM, it wasn't spam. It said, oh, you're a musician, you'd probably like the free intro to my book. So I would point them to my website, and I'd give them the free intro in exchange for their email. Go back and forth. Well, where am I? Basically right here now, right? Here's, oh, you followed me on Twitter, great. Check out this free intro to my book at bigmedia.com. Sure enough, that woman liked it. She said, wow, I loved it. I loved it so much, I bought 4 copies of your book. I hadn't even printed the book yet, but look, 4 copies, this is great. You know, I can eat tonight. So after that, I befriended her on Facebook. It turns out she was going to Baruch, and she invited me to come by. So 2 days later, I met Baruch. She liked what I had to say so much that she bought 5,000 copies, right? And I liked her so much, I put her on the flap, because I hadn't printed a copy yet. So then we said, well, what should we do with these 5,000 books? And I knew she empowered, her 3 big things were, 1, empower women's voices in the media. So I sent the book to the Women's Donors Network, Women Moving Millions, Women's Media Center, the Op-Ed Project. Because you all know, I mean, 51% of the population is female, right? You know, you only own 4% commercial TV stations, 6% of commercial radio stations, 10% of op-eds in the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal are written by 10% written by women. Congress is 90% men, right? So we gave them to help empower women. We also gave them to all these universities, and that's ended up how I ended up being at, well, here, but also Columbia University, Missouri. There was somebody in the audience from the United Nations that ended up inviting me to speak. But think about all this, like, where did this all come from? Thousands of books, prestigious speaking gigs. Didn't come from the New York Times, yeah.
What kind of networking did you have to do in order to get the speaking arrangements?
Well, that's the kind of thing I mean, is that, you know, Twitter and Facebook and all these social media are great to connect with people and keep a message together, or keep in contact. But the most important thing is, I sold 5,000 books face to face. The most important thing is getting off your ass. You know, getting out from in back of the computer and email, which are distractions, and actually meeting your friends and your fans, you know. Coffee shops, presentations like this. So I'm going to jump into that one piece on journalism just to close out, because this is all great, we can all make money, but there are kind of scary, dangerous things happening as well. I hope you can see this okay. I was basically a stringer for Huffington Post off the bus for the 3rd and final U.S. presidential debate, which was outside of Hofstra University. Remember that one between McCain and what was the guy's name?